Hey, it's me, Scythe7, and this is Library of Ruina.
Open the curtains, lights on. Don't miss a moment of this experiment. Oh, the book is strange, like clockwork orange. Keep your eyes buttered till the end. Finish my beat, cut it off, cut out your nose. I'm a silver loyalty. This gonna get you killed. You may broke the door, convenient theories. For the puppets on TV, there is comfort in the dreams. If you're gonna control me, at least make it interesting theatrically. Then make it for me.
The short and sweet review. This is a challenging RPG deck building game where the objective is to turn people into books by killing them. The game features a spectacular story and characters, the best soundtrack of any game that's been released in recent memory, featuring and many tracks that have great piano and violin instrumentals. Just listen to this waiting screen music before you start a fight. An amazing customization system that goes so far as to allow you to choose what text dialogue your characters say in battle. Distinctive and challenging fights with tons of emotion and meaning behind them that make each fight a unique experience. All the negatives for this game have been addressed to some extent except this first one, so Project Moon is very aware of the things that need reworked and have taken criticism very well from my experience with the game thus far. So for the first negative, the game starts out with a ton of information about how to play, and it's a lot to take in all at once and is fairly confusing. The UI isn't very intuitive and takes a while to get used to, but has been made better over time. The game can be kind of grindy if you're trying to get all the battle symbols and every key page, but again, this is something that has been improved upon from the initial early access release. Now for the detailed review. Library of Ruina is the sequel to Lobotomy Corporation's True Ending developed by Project Moon. The game is currently in early access and has a full release date set for April 2021 as of the recording of this video and is subject to change. The goal of the game is simple: kill the guests you invite to the library by playing cards and rolling dice in order to turn them into books to create the one singular perfect book. You play as Roland, a nihilistic fixer who is currently down on his luck and gets encouraged to become one of Angela's librarians with the rest of the Sephirah from Lobotomy Corporation. The banter and conversations between Roland and Angela is where a lot of the storytelling takes place. In describing Library of Ruina, I would split it between two parts. There's the visual novel aspect of the game, and then there's the combat. The visual novel part tells a cunning tale of coming to understand oneself in various different aspects while dealing with, or surviving through, an unimaginably cruel dystopian world. It's some of the best and most ambitious world building I've ever come across in gaming, and the delivery is done incredibly well. It manages to give you a lot of information while keeping an air of mystery and surprise around it that incentivizes you to delve deeper and unravel the full story. Merge that with the really awesome looking pictures done in this grungy vintage art style that further adds to the mystery and overall horror of the world. And yeah, there's a lot of horror going on, and it's brought forth in a fun way by cheapening the value of life due to how despotic the city is. From people turning into monsters to being turned into monsters and just generally doing anything to survive, which begs the question of what does it mean to be alive in the first place. The overall game flow goes like this: invite guests to the library, fight guests and kill them to gain their books and unlock new library floors. You can either use the books to entice new guests, or you can burn the books to acquire key pages and new combat cards. Key pages act as your equipment loadout with various effects, and combat cards are used to build your combat bookshelf, which is what you use to do battle. You then complete assignments to unlock abnormality fights, and upon beating those fights, you unlock assistant librarians for your floor and the abnormalities specific emotion pages. Rinse and repeat this process while increasing the difficulty and adding new mechanics to the game. Through the use of spooky invitations, various guests are enticed to come to the library by the promise of books containing knowledge on subjects they are interested in or desperately need. As you invite guests to the library, you get to see a vignette of their life right before they accept the invitation and are transported to the library. This is such an amazing way of explaining the wants and desires of the guests and why they would come to the library, gambling with their own lives. Every guest is incredibly interesting, so hearing a bit about their backstory and then getting to fight them to the death right after is a unique experience. Now for the combat portion. Combat is turn-based and gets more and more difficult as you play through the game. You have your standard health bar, which when depleted kills the character. There's a stagger bar that when depleted causes the character to enter a staggered state. In this state, all resistances are changed to fatal and they lose their next turn, allowing for maximum damage to be done to that character. At the start of each scene, every character rolls for their speed value. The higher speed die will go first in the combat phase, as well as giving you the option of redirecting lower speed die rolls to clash with. This gives you some control over the flow of battle. You then choose what cards you want to play and who they target, given your speed die is higher than theirs. Each speed die can only play one card at a time, and each card has a cost to them called light. You gain 1 light every turn naturally, and then there are cards and other circumstances that can give you light later on. Cards contain different effects and dice on them with roll values. There are red offensive dice consisting of slash, pierce, and blunt types, blue defensive dice consisting of block and evade types, and yellow counter dice which can be any of the types above. Each dice roll has a minimum and maximum roll range associated with it. Because of the roll ranges, there is an RNG aspect to the game, but considering it can work in your favor or against you, it never really feels like it is unfair. After you've selected your targets comes the combat animation portion, which is so amazing and fun to watch play out. All the characters clash and roll their dice, the higher rolls winning the clash. When offensive die win, they deal damage to both the health and stagger bar. When a block die wins, it causes stagger damage to your opponent and negates the damage. When an evade die wins, you gain stagger bar back and the evade die is re-rolled until a higher roll beats it or another defensive die rolls against it for that scene. The animations for combat is spectacular. Attacks will sometimes scar the ground and other times they leave large blood smears on both the ground and the combat sprites. When a dice is rolled for its max value, the screen shakes and the hit sound intensifies and sends your opponent crashing backwards, sometimes into walls or other objects on the stage. This gives a sense of weight to each hit and is very satisfying. This, coupled with some of the best music in a video game I've ever heard, makes for a very brutal gameplay experience. During fights, both you and your opponent will earn positive or negative emotion coins when clashing. Upon earning enough emotion coins during a fight, your emotion level will increase up to a maximum of level 5. Each emotion level gives you a bonus of either extra light, extra speed die, and you can choose an abnormality page, granting you various effects. As an added bonus, the music will get more intense. The higher the emotion level of your opponent when you slay them, it will grant you bonus books to use. I wouldn't feel right making this review without highlighting just how amazing I find the music in this game. There's a wide variation of music and all of it evokes specific emotions to suit the current situations you are faced with. You've got the hype dangerous music when you face off against abnormalities. There's the boss music which gets more intense as the fight goes on, but I won't spoil that. Each floor of the library has its own music and theme that ranges from rock and roll to synthwave to orchestral in order to represent the Sephirah on each floor. There's also the added bonus that the music gets more intense as you reach certain emotion levels. Not to mention multiple songs made by Millie, such as the opening song for the game, String Theocracy, and my personal favorite, And Then Is Heard No More. Just to recap, I've explained most of what the game entails while attempting to spoil as little as I could because this is such a great experience that should be enjoyed by anyone interested. I imagine some people might find the game a bit difficult and get frustrated, but as long as you keep trying and building solid decks with good key-paste synergy, I know that anyone can overcome the challenge in this game. Please keep spoilers out of the comment section, but feel free to ask questions and leave a like if this review helped you.